What's up, everybody? I'm just cruising around, and that's why you get a dual sport. There's a 450 RL in front of me, maybe a 300L. I think it's a 450 RL. I have a 450 RL, and I also have a DRZ, and they're just great to do stuff like that. The car's going slow, go off-road. They're not great at going fast. That's why I love riding this bike. Because yes, you can go off-road on a dual sport, but which is honestly a lot safer. You know, trees don't move, you know, which is good and bad. If you hit a tree, that's on you, but they're not gonna come out in front of you and you're gonna have to be like, oh shit, a tree, you know what I'm saying? You know. So yeah, the title of this video is going to be dual sport versus a street bike. This is a naked bike, but it is still a street bike. Because can I go off-road? I could. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be fun. So what do you want to do? If you see a trail, okay, this is what I like to always say. If you see a trail and you want to go down it, get a dual sport. If you've ridden dirt bikes before, get a dual sport. I have both. I have 2 street bikes and I have 2 dual sports. Do I have a problem? Yes. Let's put in a wheelie. Like there's so much, there's like, for example, right here, you look over to your left and you see there's some trails up here. You look over, all right, let's just imagine the entrance to the trail is right here. It's up here. But you look over and you want to see, oh, where does that go? Where does this go? Then it'd be really cool. Oh no, it's a policeman. It'd be very cool to experience, you know, to go into the trails and whatnot. Smile and wave, boys, smile and wave. So it's really cool to have a dual sport. It's also very practical. They're good on gas, and life-changing events like death, you could avert a lot of things. For example, if I had to go off-road with this bike, you're probably gonna lay it down. Or if you had to go off-road with a street bike, you're probably gonna lay it down. You know, it's a high probability. Some people don't. I might be okay if I hit the grass or the ditch line on this, but that median right there, if you had to, boom, on a dual sport. On this, you can go a little slow, you could do it, no problem. I need gas. But I was gonna film this video on a dual sport, but I'm probably still, this is gonna be, you know, street bike versus dual sport. You know, the next video I do on the dual sports is gonna be dual sport versus street bike, and I'm gonna be on the dual sport, which kind of, I guess that kind of makes sense. If you want to learn wheelies, I would start on a dual sport. If you don't have that much money to spend on a bike, start on a dual sport. There's so much pros to getting a dual sport. I use the term loosely because it's practically a street legal dirt bike. Some of them are, you know, detuned and whatnot. Even the 450 RL is detuned. It's not a real 450, but it's freaking, once you get a brain on it, it's pretty freaking close. If you need to go over 100 miles an hour, I would get a street bike. If you live in the city, you could do either or, you know. A dual sport or a street bike in the city are both okay. Depends what type of street bike. If you get a 1000 and you live in the city, very unpractical. You're not even going to be able to use any of the power. They do freaking 90 miles an hour in first gear, so it's not really going to be that usable. If you get a freaking DRZ, like an SM, well, I have a DRZ 400S, which is the dirt model. So I have dirt wheels, dirt tires, 18 and 21. Same thing on my 450RL, 18 and 21. But those come stock. Well, the 450RL only comes with dirt setup. Well, the DRZ comes in an S model and the SM model. But you can find a DRZ 400 pretty cheap. They're not that much power. You're talking like, I don't know, 30 something horsepower, even with an exhaust and a jet kit, because they are carbureted. They are coming out with a new DRZ 400. It's a DRZ 4. And at first I thought they were only coming out with an S model or an SM model, but then I was reading some stuff up, and then I seen there was a picture of the S model, which is the dirt model, so that's cool. They're gonna have both models again. I thought it was just gonna be the street version, which is kind of unfortunate, because when you buy a dual sport or a street legal dirt bike, you want to be able to go off-road. Yes, you could buy an SM, a Supermoto, which is a street legal dirt bike with street bike wheels, more or less, and you could put dirt knobbies, but they're 17s, and they just do not handle like a true 21 in the front. The 17 versus the 18 in the rear is not too much of a difference, but the 21 versus 17 in the front and the wide versus the skinny is night and day difference. It's like riding a real dirt bike or try riding a Grom off-road. It's just not. It's like a CRF 110 versus a Grom off-road. That CRF 110 is gonna freaking whip circles around that Grom, because the Grom feels like a mini street bike off-road. It's just so uncomfortable. But this is really all you could do on a street bike. You could go fast, you could accelerate fast, you could do some wheelies, you could turn it into a stunt bike. You could be, you know, it could be a stunt bike. That's the future evolution of a street bike. That's what it can be. But some bikes aren't really meant to be stunt bikes, you know. Anything over, you know, Gixxer 750 isn't actually a bad stunt bike. That's not that bad. But like any 1000 is not that good of a stunt bike. They just got too much power. Any 600, not that bad of a stunt bike, you know. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about street bike versus dual sport. The video is going to be it's going to make a lot more sense to people when I film the other video. But this is pretty much all you can do on a street bike. Yes, they're pretty, even though a street bike has more cylinders, I like to think they're more reliable than a single cylinder motorcycle. Because on a single cylinder motorcycle, you are just reaming that thing out, you know. Like right now I'm at 4,000 RPMs. That's 1,250. I don't know. If you divide 4 times 3, I ain't that smart, okay? 1,250, I don't know, 1,350, something like that. And that's how many revolutions the one cylinder is going per minute, you know, RPM. So if that's a 4-cylinder at 4,000 RPM, that's 1,000 RPM. Now if you're on a single cylinder motorcycle, like a dirt bike, or you know, some just other bikes, you're really beating on that cylinder and those rings. That top end is just not gonna last as long as like a 4-cylinder bike. For example, a street bike to hit 50,000 miles is pretty high miles. Anything over 20 is decently high miles for a street bike. Now, if you have a dual sport that hits 50,000 miles on the stock cylinder, you maintenanced it right, you know, because a lot of times they'll probably start smoking by then. My DRZ is like 7 years old on the stock cylinder, and I beat the shit out of it. Wheelies, red line, all that. Beat it off road, freaking, you know. And it does great. It's not blown up, whatnot. But I would go ahead, I bought my DRZ new, but I've had other DRZs. I would go ahead, if you guys, I wouldn't even think about it anymore. If you're thinking dual sport versus street bike, get a dual sport, boom, okay? And then, when you get used to it, guess what? Don't sell it, keep it. Keep your dual sport, and then also get a street bike, okay? That way you can ride both, and you can have, you know, the fun of both worlds. This is gonna take too long. See if I can do a wheelie for the kids. Yeah, there's not much points on a dual sport or a street bike versus a dual sport, because I really have to show you firsthand why a dual sport is so fun. I need to make the next video. I'm probably going to be on the DRZ because I have a lot more seat time on a DRZ than a 450 RL or even a 450 dirt bike. That's going to be it for today's video. I'll see you on the next one.